Hey Dream Chasers, it's JC. Today I wanted to give you some pointers on adding lighting to your illustrations and easily changing the time of day with just a few small tweaks. This technique is especially useful if you're working on a comic and you're going to be reusing the same background but in different scenes at different points in time, different times of day. It's nice to be able to just make some small adjustments and change the lighting and the mood and get a whole different vibe from the same line art and the same base colors. I used this technique when I was working on the comic Mr. Guy Zombie Hunter, which is available now on Kickstarter. Please go check it out. And it saved me a ton of time and energy. All I had to do was figure out my base colors, add some basic shadows, and then a color overlay, and boom, now it's nighttime. Pretty cool, right? And shout out to my friend Cal McDonald, who is awesome at lighting. A lot of the stuff I go over in this video, I actually learned from watching him draw on Twitch. He is an amazing artist, and he has a really cool comic named Vigilante2890. Go check out his stuff. He's at Cal McDonald on Twitch and at Cal McDonald Art on Twitter and Instagram. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I shaded this background and added lighting, both for daytime and for nighttime, just starting with some base colors. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually hide our color, and we're just gonna be working with this grayscale image for now. And the reason it's gray is so we can easily add in lighter highlights and darker shadows and kind of just see the value. I just want to think about value right now. I don't want to get confused with color. So I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna take an airbrush. And right now I just want to figure out what my light sources are. So I think the obvious one would be the window. So there'd be light coming from here. And then I think there'd be a little bit of light coming from this fish tank. There's probably a light in there. And it might not be as bright as the window, but it's there. And then finally, I think her phone would be a light source. So I think the window probably would be kind of shining some light into the room, so you would get kind of that effect a little bit. This might just kind of have a soft glow, sort of, you know, extending onto the wall a little bit. And then the phone, again, it's just a little bit of soft glow. I think for kind of artistic license, I'd like to make her face kind of really lit by her phone, just so we can kind of see it, because I think otherwise she's going to be very much in shadow and difficult to see. So we're going to kind of have her phone sort of light her up. And this isn't what the lighting is going to look like exactly. I just wanted to kind of figure that out really quick. So I'm actually going to make a new layer, and now we're going to do this properly. So I think for the window, what we'll do is we'll kind of have it coming into the room on an angle. And I'm going to take this brush. I'm kind of cheating here. I've figured out these colors already. I'm going to take that yellow. I'm going to kind of just start it up here and then sort of build onto it. So it's fainter as we get down there. That might be a little strong, so I'm actually going to take a eraser, kind of erase back up. There we go. I don't want the light to be super strong from the window, just kind of there. We're gonna make a light for the fish tank, kind of make the phone glow a little bit. So I'm gonna add glow. Yeah, look how cool that is. Now that looks like a light. I'm gonna try that on all these. So we're gonna go add glow. That is way too strong. And add glow. Okay, this one, oof, we're gonna tone that way down. I think actually here's what we'll do. I'm going to take a really light blue, fill in the screen again with that, kind of underneath. Let me turn that on. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So that very quickly was just kind of our lighting. Oh, also, I'm realizing too, looking at this, so I don't think you would get the light from the fish tank. Like, it wouldn't go through the chair and stuff too, right? So I'm also going to erase that. So I think the next thing to do then is going to be to figure out our shadows, like our cast shadows. So I'm going to take like just kind of a darker gray color, and let's go with a pencil. And I'm going to do really quick at first. It's not going to be accurate. I just want to kind of block in what I think these shadows might look like. So I think all this stuff, right, because it's in front of this light, is going to be in shadow. Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. That might be, might be a little on the dark side. Something like that maybe. And then I think coming back, maybe you would see a little bit of a highlight from sort of behind her. All right, and then I think you would also, like, her face would be kind of lit by her phone. I think that looks pretty good. All right, and then let's see what else could be casting some shadows. So I think you'll get some shadow under the desk. Alright, so I'm just going to clean this up and we'll skip ahead to when that part is done. So I cleaned up the shading and just kind of redid it since it was so messy. And if you turn these light layers back on, you kind of get a sense of the lighting of this room. So what I want to do now, I can just turn on my flats, and you can see it doesn't look bad, right? You can kind of get a sense, but I feel like the shading, it's a little boring. Stuck on that flat layer. Normally, you don't want your shadows to just be black. It's kind of dull. So I'm gonna duplicate this layer, this folder with all the shading. I'm gonna merge this. So I'm just gonna merge visible layers. Oops. Oh no, not visible. Merge selected layers. So now I have this on one layer here, and then I'm gonna I just control click. I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna make kind of like I don't know, like a blue shadowy color. So I'm just gonna, will this work? Yeah, there we go. So what I did was I control clicked on that, and then I used a paint bucket tool. And so now I have this like blue layer of shadows. And that looks a little better, but it's still, I don't know, it could use to work. So I'm gonna play with these layer effects. I think the one I'm gonna go for here is probably like a linear burn. I'm gonna turn it down to maybe like, I don't know, 60, something. I think that looks cool. I think it just adds kind of a shadow or thing, but it's still, it looks a little weird right now. I feel like this lighting's really feels really strong. And the room still feels really bright, and it's not quite right. So what I'm gonna do now, add another layer, and I'm gonna color pick this because I played around with these colors before, so I know this is the shade that I want to use. And I'm gonna add this layer of blue over this, and I'm going to use linear light at about 30%. And this is something I've come up with experimenting before. I feel like it just creates kind of a nice sort of nighttime scene. Like, we suddenly now, this feels like it's at night. I'm actually going to duplicate this layer because I think we could push it a little bit more. And I'm going to put this on color. And so now it just kind of tints everything blue just a little bit. And now suddenly just that extra touch, now it feels like a nighttime scene. What's going to push that even more is if we take this window layer here and kind of put like some night sky sort of colors outside versus that kind of daytime color that I had before. And so now what I might do, so I have kind of my lighting established. Here's where you can kind of have some fun and just add a little bit from this lighting. So I'm gonna make a new layer, and I'm gonna get like a paintbrush. Here we go. Try like an opaque watercolor. I'm kind of new to painting Clip Studio, so we'll see if we like this. But I'm gonna get like kind of a really bright blue, and I'm gonna paint some highlights on her face. All right, so what if we did want to make this more of a daytime scene? What could we do to do that? One, let's turn off those blue layers, and right off the bat, that actually already looks pretty good, right? But let's try. Let's take this. Let's just play with the hue. Let's see if maybe we can get something warmer, brighter. Like that's kind of a nice, like sunny color. We'll lighten it a little bit. So we have kind of this yellow. Maybe. Let's keep playing with it. Maybe we can make it kind of an orangey color, possibly. And that almost feels like, I don't know, like sunset or sunrise. It's just kind of cool. Let's just turn this to a normal layer. Let's I don't know, let's make it, let's just do something like that, see what happens. Bring it way back down. That's kind of cool. So yeah, already that feels like a lot brighter. That's pretty good looking. I think one thing too that's kind of making it look sort of later in the day. Two things actually. One, I think those shadows feel kind of strong. So I'm gonna go back to this original layer here. I don't think we need this whole thing, or maybe we can make it much lighter. That area, yeah. And same thing here. Let's like bring that way up, so there'd be more light kind of getting into the room overall. So you wouldn't get like everything would be much lighter. All right, so yeah, so I think that looks a lot. It looks like a brighter time of day maybe, and then let's also change sort of the sky color in that window. So let's bring in something like really blue. Like it just feels like daytime and it's sunny. That definitely looks like daytime though, right? Like that's a daytime sky. It's much brighter. And then I think for funsies, something else we could do. So let's get like an orangey color. Something like really bright. And let's kind of add some more highlights here. And maybe, yeah, there we go. So made it like a linear light layer. Yeah, so now we're getting kind of, getting her a little bit more lit. I think the phone probably wouldn't be as strong now too, right? The phone wouldn't seem as bright because it's like so daytime. So I think you'd also get this highlight would be much softer on the face. I'm just gonna kind of add some warm tones. This is like a really kind of bright sunny day. Alright, and so here are the final pieces. We have one that is a daytime scene, it's very warm and sunny, and we have one that's a nighttime scene, and it's very cool and dark. And they started with the same exact light source and the same base colors and more or less the same shading. We lightened the shadows a little bit for the daytime one, but it's basically the same exact piece that was just tweaked a little bit. And what's cool about this is if you have a background that you're going to use over and over again for a comic or animation, and you want to change the mood or the time of day, it's really easy to do that. And another thing that I think is really great about it is I didn't have to think that much about color. I just picked my base colors, and then I picked a color for, okay, it's nighttime, I want to go with blue, it's daytime, I want to go with like a warm orangey color. And I didn't have to think about how the light interacts with, you know, the color of everything else. It just kind of came together pretty well. I think if you were doing like a really detailed study and painting, and you wanted to think a lot about how light and shadow kind of affects the color of things, you know, you'd go a lot more in depth. But I think for something that's got this kind of simple style, I think it works really well. I think it looks good. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video was helpful. And here are the colors and layer effects and opacity settings that I use. So if you want to kind of replicate what I did, it's right here on your screen. The top color is the light that comes from the window, and the blues are what gave it that kind of nighttime vibe. Same thing here, we have the window lighting and that orangey glow. But feel free to experiment with color and layer effects and see what you can come up with. By the way, as I mentioned in the beginning, there is a Kickstarter right now for a comic I worked on. It's called Mr. Guy Zombie Hunter, and it's an art anthology, meaning each arc was illustrated by a different artist. It's written by JL Draco, and it features art from JL, myself, Walter Osley, and Deanna Camaro. It's really funny, and it's goofy, and if you like zombies and cartoons and video games and comedy, it's just a really fun project. And if you back it, you can also get the 10th Oneshi Press anthology, which features dozens of short comic stories. It's a really great deal, so go check it out. It would mean a lot to me if you did. And if you're watching this after the Kickstarter is over, then head over to oneshipress.com and pick up a copy. Alright, thanks so much. Peace.